All right, let's bring up our filmmakers, Carlos Lerma, who made Vampire, Curtis Matzke, who made The Museum of Myself, and Nicholas J. Santore, who made Bouncy Brothers, as well as his producer and the Bouncy Brothers themselves. Come on up. All right, Carlos, we'll start with you since you're sitting here. Vampire. The past couple of years, you've sent me a lot of short films. This is like every year, like last year is when we met. You sent me 3 films that you made, and then this year I think you sent me 4 or something like that. And they're all like incredibly personal and revealing. And I think that's one of the reasons why you've been here 2 years in a row. And so I just want to know, just tell me a little bit, like, are you always in production on something, like, or do you do a bunch of films at a time? Like, just tell me about your process a little bit.
First of all, hi. And I love doing short films all the time. I feel like I do a lot of things by myself, not because of budget, but it's because I love doing it so much. If I just have an idea for like a 2-3 minute short, I'll just do it. For example, with this one, I shot it over the summer where a lot of my friends were out of town because they were interning or they went back home because I'm in college right now. And I just needed to do something to not lose my sanity. So all of the things in that short are filmed by myself in my apartment or in my apartment's pool. For example, in the very first shot when I'm walking past the pool, one of my neighbors was there who refused to leave, and I was like, I'm doing a video for school. And he was like, what is this kid doing with a vampire costume? But I like to just go shoot stuff, just run and gun, guerrilla filmmaking. Oh, yeah.
And you're also an animator. The last one we played here was animated, and it looks like you did all of the special effects and the editing on your own as well. And I love this kind of short film that is like, that you can tell it is made by one person, but it was made with like a real purpose of like, I gotta get this off my chest. But just, I'm curious. I've watched this movie many times, and I don't know a whole lot about like special effects software or anything like that, but how did you go about burning your apartment?
All of the fire is composited VFX. None of it is AI, by the way, just want to make that clear. But the one thing I really did do is burn the paper at it when I like crouch down and just burn it. And I also, in the gasoline tank, it's just water. And my roommate was like, why the fuck is the apartment wet? And I was like, I did this really fun thing. And yeah, so it was all pre-made fire acids, and I shot it with whatever fire acid I had in mind. So there's a lot of angles, so I just shot with the angles that I had available. And for example, the table shot, like the water is supposed to be gasoline, and that is practical, but all the fire is fake.
It looks great. And then, like, by the end of this film, you've come to like an acceptance about your body issues, and did making this movie help you come to terms with other fears or anxieties? Like, was making the film part of a therapeutic experience, or was it more of a depiction of a therapeutic experience? That might be a loaded question.
I feel like, especially when I'm 22, but especially when I was younger, I saw a lot of things that had a really sparkly message of like, you're beautiful just the way you are, and da-da-da-da. But at the time, there were some times where I just generally don't feel that way, and I don't feel like I ever saw a piece of media that depicted that, and how it's okay sometimes to not face your fears. So I wanted to do a short that kind of tackled on that if you feel a certain way, maybe it's valid, and you don't have to fight it, and it's okay. And when I was little, and I can't, I'm 22, but when I was looking for stuff on the internet to kind of reinforce my thoughts, all of the short films or videos that I looked at kind of had the same message of like, just accept it, just do it, go to the thing. So I just wanted to make something that was the complete polar opposite of that.
I think that's, you got a lot of wisdom for a 22-year-old. I mean, I don't mean that to sound as condescending as that sounded, but like, I do think, that is why I programmed it though. Like, I think that twist at the end was maybe go, oh, this one I'm gonna put in the probably pile. I don't have definites, I just have probablys early on. But, nice work on that one.
Thank you, Collin.
Curtis, Matzke made The Museum of Myself. Welcome to the Q&A. We had a film of yours here a few years ago.
Yeah.
What's the name of it? I'm terrible.
I don't remember what year. Oh, which one? Recovery of the Fallen? Is that
The Recovery of the Fallen. Yes, thank you. And you were going to be here, and then you had COVID, and you couldn't do it.
Yeah, that sucked.
That sucks. I'm so glad you're up here finally.
Crazy.
So Francesco Maria Rossi, how did you find this person? What was it about you that drew you to him? Or are you related? And I just don't know.
Oh God, no. Yeah, and I don't speak Italian at all. So this was a challenge. So yeah, if anyone who knows me knows that I really like going on like artist residencies and retreats. I've become like addicted to them ever since I Recovery of the Fallen. I did a program in the Canary Islands, which was a Werner Herzog program, and while I was there, I made a similar short documentary film as well that was kind of a character profile piece of a local person in Spain. And then I did this other retreat in Tuscany last year, and I kind of wanted to do the same thing as this kind of companion piece. So I had a friend who was there who is Italian, who I pitched him this idea and was just like, yeah, do you know any like local weird guys or just someone I can like talk to? And he was like, yes. And I was like, he sounds perfect. And so we drove out and to kind of meet this guy, and I researched him a little bit and kind of got a sense of who he was and like, you know, what his whole shtick was. And he's pretty actually famous kind of in that town. He was like on a lot of sketch comedy things. He's like an author and a poet and all these other things. And there was just like so much to ask him. So I made up these questions, and then my friend translated, and then after each kind of response, I was just like, okay, yeah, that was probably what we got. And yeah, just kind of, there was a little interesting kind of back and forth improvisational kind of aspect to the documentary filmmaking. So
okay. And what do you think? What was the wildest thing he showed you? I mean, it really is a museum, but what stuck out to you the most?
I mean, my favorite part in the film is the stuff with the mannequins, because it's so weird. I don't know. I think everything just had so much history to it and stuff from World War I, World War II. That was in again the helmet. I thought was really interesting, and yeah, just pretty much all of it. But also that main room, there was just all this for lack of a better word, crap, from his life that he collected that was just piling on top of itself. I was I found that kind of the most fascinating, because it was just kind of seemingly a bunch of junk, but it's just this crazy collection of things too. Because the guy's really smart too. He knows exactly what he is doing and how he curates kind of his his home.
Yeah, I mean, and the geography of it, I'm glad you didn't explain the geography of it, but because I can't tell, are we in a basement now? Are we upstairs? Is this an extension is it all one floor?
I still don't really know exactly what it was. I just walked in and I was like, this place is crazy. But he had these different kind of rooms designated for different things. So he had old farm stuff in one place, and there was a second level that had all these kind of different kitschy things too. It was very, very strange.
Yeah. So after spending all this time with it, was it hard in the editing process to focus on what the film should be? What?
Definitely, and shout out to my editor Charlie, who's here, who really kind of helped me kind of piece it together, because I mean our shooting ratio was pretty good. There's not much more that is not in the film. Okay. Actually, there's a little bit more in the kind of interview, but yeah, it was definitely a challenge to first figure out the translation stuff. So we kind of I worked with a student who was Italian, and he would help give us an initial pass of it, and then yeah, kind of refine things from there, and then yeah, just do these different kind of string outs with the kind of the interview as the spine, and kind of shaping a little bit of the story, and and have that kind of arc the main thing that was important for me is that, you know, you are introduced to this character and he's kind of like, oh, this is just like a weird guy. But then he actually does say some intellectual things by the end of it, and it's like talking about sustainability and some like and memory and kind of like interesting topics that are kind of important at the end.
In my notes, my next Q&A would be for Anna Baumgarten, who made balloon animals, and I was hoping we could do a round of Fuck, Marry, Kill with her, but unfortunately she's not here. That would have been fun, but no. Nicholas Santore, you made Santori.
I don't know. I went to Italy for my honeymoon, and they're all Santore. I'm like, I think I should just embrace it.
Okay.
Do you speak Italian?
I don't know.
Last time you and your producer were here, Tom, you was with a film called My Dudus, which, if you guys remember, this was a few years ago about, oh yeah, some of you remember, about the mom who adopts this squirrel that keeps coming around. Was that your mom, Tom? Was that,
Yeah,
yes, your mom, right, who adopts this squirrel and just becomes her best friend. And so Nicholas, this is about your uncles, right?
Correct.
On your mother's side.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you guys find you're mainly drawn to stories of your families? Might the next film be completely different?
It's
or-
funny you asked that. Like one of my first documentaries, I was a subject in with my father when I was like 26 years old. So I don't know, I learned a lot from that process, and like, I think Tom and I both are like really drawn to family stories more than anything. So I've worked on narrative films, like shorts in the past, and I think that I'm personally just drawn to stories about everyday people and like the journeys they're taking and like finding beauty in the struggle. And yeah, I think family is important to me as well. Like, so those are the themes that I think we'll probably continue to explore, yeah, with films in general. So.
Okay. And you dedicated this to your grandfather and Anthony and Ted, or your uncles. Talk about just like growing up together, like what?
Oh, for sure. So actually, I moved to Arizona in like '93 when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and my mom would fly. My mom's here. My whole family's here, so shout out to the whole family. Which is all. Thank you for having us in Chicago. Like, I'm so stoked to have a screening in Chicago, especially Music Box. So Colin, thank you so much. It means the world to me. But yeah, so like every summer we would fly home to Illinois, and my grandparents lived in the same house forever. Ted bought the house right next door, and then Anthony ended up buying the house next door to that. So basically, like, the family owned the whole block.
Oh, wow.
And every summer I would come home with my mom and my brother. We would hang out, stay with my grandparents, and like hang out with these guys like literally every day. You know, Ted would cut my hair, and you know, he would build our forts with like army men and stuff, and like miniature golf would be rained out because we were in Illinois, and these guys would like build golf courses in the house. And then like growing up, just making films, like these guys were like literally my crew. Like I was a production designer, and they would build they say anything we can dream, we can build. They would do that for me, you know? So I felt like a big responsibility of like making this film with them was like this is the first film I've directed too personally. So the story just kind of came, you know, naturally, and I was just like really excited to be able to make something with them in that fashion, yeah.
So, I was going to ask, like, how does do you get a phone call from them saying, you know, we're starting this business and I think you should make a documentary about it? Or did you call them and say, I think I want to make a documentary about your business?
Yeah, it was kind of like a slow creep because Anthony decided to sell his house like in the middle of COVID, and Ted just like helped him rehab the whole thing. It was like absolutely beautiful. So it kind of came by shock, but I think Anthony, he could speak to this himself a little, but he wanted to, you know, take a second crack at the American dream, like try it out, go out there. The business came on his doorstep basically through a friend who had lived in Florida. He moved out to just give it a shot, and instantly I was like, oh, this is interesting, you know, like I really admire that, you know. Anyone who takes a chance in life to try something new is like amazing. It's so hard to do any of those things. So I was like, this could be interesting, but I really wanted to make a brother piece, and I was talking to Ted one day and was just like, man, it would be amazing if you guys like ran this business together. I could see this being a very interesting like film idea. And he's like, it's crazy you say that. I'm actually heading out there this summer. Things aren't going too well, so I'm planning on spending a few months out there. So it was like, Tom, we gotta get tickets now. Like I think they're only there for another week. So yeah, we flew out for like a week and just shot with them for a week and got it. It was good. Yeah.
I want to ask Anthony and Ted, being the subject of a documentary about your lives. Yeah, let's pass a couple mics down, or you guys can share one or whatever. What is the best part of watching this, if there is a best part, and what is the hardest part of watching this movie?
For me, the hardest part is watching yourself on screen and how do I come across? It's because I'm like I said in the film, like I feel like I'm coming across overbearing and like stepping on his toes, and I'm like, are people going to think I'm a dick, or is this? Do they understand the love behind it? So I think that was the hardest part for me, was seeing that and wondering what people are going to think after they see it.
Yeah, for me, it was the sheer amount of takes that you have to do to get, depending on cicadas or airplanes. There's always something that messes it up. So that was new to me.
And just to echo on that, with getting mic'd up, it's like we're working and it's in Florida heat in the summer, it's 100 and some degrees out there and you're sweating. They're like, wait, stop before you get to work. Because we're up early. I mean, we're early risers, we get after it. And to get mic'd up before you can do that, and then, the intrusion of it into your life is kind of like, whoa, this is weird. But like once you get the process rolling, it was really cool to see their craft. And I think that's the coolest part of it, to see how professional they were and to see like how they do what they do. And to me, it's pretty awe-inspiring, especially as a like self-proclaimed creative type person. I think it's just really cool to see, and being a part of the film festival circuit has been really cool to speak with other filmmakers and directors and people in that business, and it's really just been a cool experience for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Tom, you did this cinematography on this. I think you really did a great job of capturing the heat, like the oppressive heat that's bearing down all day long. It really looks like one of the hardest jobs you could have. It seems like a dream, like, oh, I'm gonna go to kids' birthday parties and just blow up bouncy houses and this will be easy. I love movies where that are about very specific occupations that you know nothing about, and you realize just how hard they are. So did you have the 1 year later idea planned when you finished filming them, or did you have a finished film and then a year later something happened? Like what was
Yes, we had a finished film, and I actually struggled with whether I wanted to continue the story or not. And I think I got a lot of feedback from fellow filmmakers who I'm close with that were like, hey, this is actually happening. Like, why don't you include it in the story? It helps kind of solidify a 3-act structure. And yeah, it just so happened that, he had decided that he was gonna call it quits and come back, and I just was like, well, let's get this. I didn't want to extend the film to be much longer, so we kind of did it in a way that, put a button on it. But yeah, that was like, I think it was about a year later, because we shot in July, and that was like maybe in this fall, October or something, so yeah.
Okay. All right, I think that's all the time we have. Sorry, Eric? Yeah. Oh, okay. I think that's all the time we have. Guys, thank you so much for coming. This is a huge pleasure to have you here.